Welcome back, YouTubers, to my channel of an everyday life of an Aspie. If you're new to my channel, I welcome you all. I'm Aspie and I'm all about creating mental health and awareness versus sharing my life stories with OCD, depression, anxiety and the like that comes into the territory of Aspergers Syndrome. I also share some tips and advice along the way versus your general health and your physical health or mental health state of mind, as well as also just me mainly also words of encouragement when I can and if I can of everyday topics that may come into play, be it if you're having problems with your relationships versus friendship problems or whatever it may be. I'm hopefully to be your girl to mentor, advocate and support you in the best way I can. So at this point of time, I'm trying to collab up some and do some research based on some of the topics that I have wanted to bring out for quite some time of what I've shared in some of my outlines to you all, especially since it's supposed to be health and awareness related versus, autistic related of these everyday topics that I'm sharing. But like I said, I'm hoping to branch it out further. So in order for you guys, basically, before I continue, also, like, as always, as a disclaimer, I'm not a medical doctor, I'm just your normal everyday Joe blogs, and I basically go about doing what I can when I can to do my everyday life of living on how I cope with my everyday things. So anything you see of the warning signs, symptoms that are clearly addressed in some of the series, be it the mental health versus any other series that has been health related, do seek professional help for yourself or your loved one, because like I don't forever condone self-harm in any way. I wish for you all to be happy and at peace within yourselves. So basically, also just to bear in mind, also when I've been sharing these topics, some of these are based on my experiences, training and whatever else that leads up to the point of what I'm sharing. Even though many people may not agree with me, that's fine, take it from a grain of salt and actually maybe pass the message on to someone you feel may need to hear this, because I know once in a while, for what I want to aim to achieve right now, I want to just hopefully, touch base with you and reach out to many of you as much as possible that may want to hear this, be it on the autistic community versus not on the autistic community. Because like I said, I'm hoping to branch out further more than just the autistic community now, as even though like most of this topics you may have been seeing is mental health versus autistic like series. So at this point in time, I'm researching up more of the DSM-5 manual versus basically also I'm trying to find the DSM-4 manual to compare the differentiations of the DSM-5 manual. And along the way, obviously for this one especially, this one's going to be based on my knowledge and know-how with the diagnostics that are based on the social communication and friendships. So bear with me on this one, and hopefully you're enjoying some of these videos. Smash that like button if you are, to show that you're engaging as well, because this is much appreciated, as well as maybe commenting ways to show that you're showing support in this. So basically, this one's going to be called the DSM-5 manual, along with my experiences and knowledge with the diagnosis that is based on social communication and friendships is going to be called. So if you have ever tried to read the Diagnostic Manual for the various brain related functions or brain related issues that, well, not issues, just health problems, shall we call it, that will include the following: autism, Aspergers Syndrome, PDD NOS and many others underneath that autism spectrum disorder umbrella that I mentioned. The DSM-5, which I wouldn't highly recommend unless you had the need to, obviously, it's not exactly light reading and for the faint-hearted, as to a lot of research is done for the educators, medical professionals and many others. But for me, for some reason, I like to delve into deep, serious books and textbooks and whatnot, because I'm the kind of girl that loves health. I am passionate about health. Anyway, one of the criteria for a diagnosis of autism is in the statement to what I'm about to share with you right now here today. There are clear qualifying statements that are related to this, and this statement has been stated, which is based on persistent deficits in social communication and social interaction across multiple contexts. To the regular readers, followers of my blog or my vlogs especially, as well as many other social media sites or platforms in general will probably know I have some issues with purely clinical concept of understanding of autism, because it's still brand new, and I'm guaranteeing that you guys will feel the same way, whoever's in the autistic community or not, or who is in a medical profession that deals with this, that, you know, will be self-contained within some of the diagnostics descriptions that has come about. I understand and believe strongly, however, that the diagnostic criteria are there in order to provide a certain amount of thresholds of the disability of any kind, especially to what I'm sharing with you all today about autism-like conditions, that will then translate into funding for services, be it for mental health or just health services, educational services, which is actually a useful thing if clinicians do bear that in mind while diagnosing the patient. However, my main concern, as always, is the deficits basis, which sees autism only in terms of what autistic people apparently have trouble doing, and where we apparently deviate from the social norm of the society that we're placed in, regardless where we're at, which is then undefined and unclassified. It fits that picture that autism is something that is broken, can never be fixed, or to the point of never being cured. I can't stress this enough. An affliction that needs solving. As I'm with you guys right now on the screen as a proud Aspie, who is now trying to self-advocate, navigate through the many dimensions of our world, I recognise that some of the elements or characteristics, however, we may have of autism can be challenging and hard to live with for ourselves and for others around us. I also believe strongly and understand that with our great potential and our dreams, expectations, visions and goals like anyone else, anything can be achievable and doable. And how many of the autistic people who are supported, included and viewed as their own unique and valuable self, rather than just being a burden to others around them, is probably considerably more likely to be led a fulfilled life and a successful life as that. I also know as an autistic adult myself that many of the issues related to autism stem from our interactions with the non-autistic world and their inhabitants. Anyway, today I was thinking about friendships, as always, because, you know, for many of us autistics, as I said before, do struggle with this, trying to maintain friendships, trying to, you know, keep into practice of keeping friends, even if it's just, you know, lucky enough to have 5 people on our 5 fingers as friends. As this, however, is related to autistic people in a real huge way, and in saying this, as well as thinking of the DSM-5 criterion around the social communication in autism, about how it is quite firmly planted into this territory of autistic people that do social communication wrong. I actually don't believe that we do social communication wrong, far from it, but I believe there is something like a different culture between us of the autistics and non-autistics people, and the social communication is a major point of that difference between these two cultures, and we keep meeting somewhere in the middle of these two differences between us somehow. So instead of a deviation form of an imaginary social norm that has been illustrated as just now, it would probably be more helpful to think, if you are friends with a non-autistic person, or even an autistic one, depending on where you sit and lay upon on the fence, that you can imagine yourself as an exchange student learning some different foreign language, as well as the customs of the other person's culture. However, autistic people are considered to be between more than 1 and 100 in the everyday population. This figure, however, has grown over the past 30 years due to many things. There are now such thing as a greater understanding of autism and the changes to both the diagnostic criteria and how those are applied to us, or to whoever it may be. Whatever the prevalence rate, however, is, we are a minority in the world, where many of those who live within the majority have no little understanding of autistic communication. But then again, you've got to remember some autistics can communicate, just to bear in mind. It's not for all but some. Anyway, moving on. To them, we are maybe even seen to be quirky when people are friendly, and then weird. And then maybe within being weird, we could be retarded, just dumb, stupid. Just to name a few hurtful insults here. For those who are so unjudgmental, unsympathetic, misunderstands us, misinterpret us. Cross-cultural friendships happen between autistic and non-autistic people alike, however, and sexual and intimate relationships too tend to blossom and bloom. In these deficits models, though, however, the non-autistic person, or as I call the non-autistic persons, the neurotypicals, might be seen as being kind for being friends with the autistic person. And I better not go down that track, because it makes me rather angry, hurt, emotional to think of myself and my peers as just the charity friends. Meaning, obviously, here for the charity friends label is, as I said before to you guys, that some of us autistics are empathetic, we are sympathetic, we are caring, loyal to the end, and we tend to outstretch ourselves and tire ourselves out when we socialise. But let's just move on to what I'm saying. In the DSM model of social communication, yes, I am different and weird to each and one of you, and I'm proud of who and what I am and what I am becoming. I do, however, communicate very differently to how the non-autistic people or the neurotypicals into who I know and seem to know. I do eye contact pretty well now, as I never have done before, and I will hold it there for a time as well, even though for that time period, for however long it may be, it may come off that I'm stalking or may make you guys feel uncomfortable. Yeah, it can also be a struggle for me, though, on the opposite hand, if I was dealing with a stranger to me. No offense to any of you out there that I don't know or who I don't know me in general, as it is very unpleasant and uncomfortable for a time. And I feel like now and again I'm looking into the person's soul that may have the deepest and darkest secrets inside of them that is hiding away of themselves, which will make that conversation harder to have with them. Believe you me, sometimes when I look into the soul, I tend to feel present in me and them when I'm talking. It's hard to explain and describe this kind of connection that I'm talking about to you, but I'm guessing, you know, once you're with me in this, you'll know what I mean. Anyway, moving on. Another key factor here, just to name another thing based on my characteristic trait, is I'm getting better with getting facial expressions or body language, you know, right, by reading their social body language and cue, as it does take time and patience, like anything for any of us. I do sometimes, however, join into the conversations maybe midway, however, and take every discussion on an interesting tangent, twist and turns. And then forget where it has started and then where it may end. For example, to clearly illustrate to you all today, maybe imagine you're riding on a train, how it is going around the railway track. I inevitably derail every time. That's how I'm going to clearly illustrate this part to you in the way of conversationing with you guys. Yes, I am insecure and maybe sometimes paranoid, but who isn't? I will admit this right now, as after all, I am still human and still have feelings like you all have. Probably more due to a history from my time of bullying, like many of yours, and the name calling and everything else, of any other forms of abuse that I've been through in my life, rather than any other maybe inherent autistic traits that I carry with me. This is challenging though, as I often have to have a reality check with a friend or family member, be it my parents for example. If I can count you as a friend or you're in my social circle, count yourself lucky, as I do sometimes find it hard to open up and trust people in there after being burned, abused, etc., etc. In any case, however, I think they don't like me anymore, maybe, or some of the people that I did try to be friends with, however, has moved on for their own personal reasons, or whatever it may be, that they feel that they don't like me. But like again, it would be nice sometimes if we were to communicate and be real, and obviously just to know what's happening, so it doesn't cloud my judgment, the perception up there of my little anxiety, having the what ifs and everything eating it behind my back of my mind. Yes, I will sometimes forget certain details about people's life, which are often important ones, but then again, I'm getting better. Yet then again, I don't, if I just keep on double checking, maybe, as well as having to put it maybe somewhere close to me, like in a calendar, if I had one hanging on the wall, or in the calendar on my phone. So these are just a few of my social characteristic traits, which might seem a little odd to a non-autistic person, or again, as I'll label you guys, which I don't wish to do it, but the neurotypicals. Let's not just stop on the quirkiness aspect though of me. As a friend, I've been told I am loyal and kind, will go out of my way to help those I care about. I put others first. I tend to put myself on the back burner. Even though now, time and time again, I tend to try and learn the word no, even though I'm afraid to let people down. Who doesn't? Or maybe just a fear of rejection once I say no a few times. I have done this a few times when it came down to socialising here, say, at this point of time, of course. But there is a reason to why I do this, and I'm sure that many people that walk in my shoes right now and has experienced this when I have declined the social aspect of things, that there is a reason beyond it. It's just to recharge my batteries and whatnot. It's okay to just say I've had enough and whatever else, as I said before in my socialization and friendship series, which I'll try and find the link to link it up to, so you can watch it to understand where I'm coming from. But in the meantime, I almost never tell any kind of lie or be dishonest to the ones around me. I'll choose to lie when I have to try and, keep myself in close distance range. But then again, if I do something I think I might have to upset a friend, I will bite the bullet, as I've always have done, and tell them, and I very rarely judge someone, and when I do take myself to task about it, to do what is best for me, as well as that person. The other thing, however, about my positive friendship qualities that I have, that is shared, they are shared in some form or another by most of my autistic friends or people just outside my social circle. People who are meant to have social communication deficits, however, are so often kind and loyal friends, and you've met me, I'm one of them. And to me this rings true to me, as I sometimes make friends and then again I'll lose them again. I am well, I believe and hope that I am a great person to be around with, once you let me in or invite me into your lives of what you guys do. My social deficits are around things I can't help very much, however. Sometimes, however, I will have my good days and bad days, like anyone knows, yes, but who doesn't? And how my brain is wired in terms of interpreting facial expressions, or just even the body language, that sort of thing can just, either turn me off or even just get me wrong at times, or it tends to deny me. I may end up getting some things misinterpreted or misunderstood from time to time from what I see and how I see it in black and white. But however, within these deficits that do exist, certainly exist, but they are tempered by those very positive friendship qualities of what I've got and been sharing with you all today openly. I, however, and apparently a few large number of other autistic people do and may have these as well. The other thing to know is that non-autistic people or neurotypicals can have some pretty difficult social deficits themselves. For example, I met to meet a two-faced autistic person. Not to be rude or crude here, I am also yet to meet an autistic person who knowingly manipulates each other to get their own way. In my life, autistic people have rarely done anything which has funnily upset me or hurt me. The people who are supposed to have the social deficits have not been deficient. Not wanting to be a separatist or anything of that matter, but pretty much of all the main damaging, violent and hurtful things which I've done in the context of my life have been done by non-autistic people or the neurotypicals. Or, of course, autistic people are certainly capable of violence and malice too, and loads of other unpleasant things, but it hasn't really been something that I have encountered in my life as of yet. So in terms of social deficits, I think the DSM-5 has been missing out a few points here, important ones, to clearly illustrate. But I'll be bringing more onto this hopefully later on in my next video. But just to bear in mind to end this, autistic people are not deviating from some of the norm of positive social behaviours. Instead, we form a separate social culture ourselves, in which we tend to find it easier to find friends who may understand us more, even if it is the ones on the autistic spectrum. The social differences in my mind, however, really are like being from a different country, as I said, or being a foreign exchange student with different customs in a form of a different language. One is not better or worse than the other, however, we could say. They are simply just different. And lots of people like going on a cultural exchange to other countries of overseas experience, to other countries to see what it is like and maybe try the foods and other many life experiences that brings onto that OE. So maybe we can look at autistic culture and social communication, something like this. But back to the old differentiation term or statement, we are no different. We are different but not less. So this basically ends quickly on my DSM-5 manual and my life experiences with the diagnosis, as well as my knowledge of what I know as well. Give me the like for thumbs up for support, comment below. Also feel free to follow me on my social medias that's listed below. Feel free to subscribe if you haven't done so, if you want to know what I've been up to for weekly updates. Hopefully it will be weekly. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell so that you can get up to date to what I get up to regardless of when my uploading schedule is. Feel free to share these videos around to family and friends. And all further ado, guys, thanks for your support, thanks for watching. Do what you love what you do. Until next time, Aspie signing out, and I'll see you again soon.